The Great Mosque of Al-Mutawakkil in Samarra, Iraq was commissioned in 848 and built in 851 under Abbasid Caliph Al-Mutawakkil after his father moved to Samarra from Baghdad to establish a new capital. At the time, it was one of the largest mosques in the world and could gather up to 80,000 faithful. The structure is composed of a large rectangle of almost 38,000 square meters with the 3:2 proportion, typical of many mosques. Enclosed in bastion walls 2.65 meter thick with 44 semicircular towers. The building stood within an outer enclosure of 444 times 376 meters, encompassing a total area of 17 hectares, which enable even more believers to attend functions. Its minaret, the Malawiyah Tower, is a vast cone with a spiral ramp 52 meters high and 33 meters wide. Standing on its own of the north side, its peculiar design makes it a unique example of this type. While the wall still stands, little remains of the interiors which have been largely damaged and despoiled for the materials to be reused elsewhere. Thanks to the archaeological excavations, we can know that the building had 17 aisles and its walls were panelled with mosaic of dark blue glass and cut marble panels. The mosque could be entered through 16 gates to reach the interior sequence of pillars which mediate the passage from the outer walls to the central prayer hall. The pillars were distributed on a dense grids and supported a thick wood roof. The mosque was partially destroyed in 1278 after the Hulagu Khan invasion of Iraq.
Here's a deeper look at the Great Mosque of Samarra's religious aspect. The first one, the Qibla orientations. The Great Mosque was built with a rectangular floor layout, just like other mosques, with its central axis directed towards Mecca, the holiest city in Islam. During prayer, the Jama'ah will be facing towards Kaaba, following the commandments of Allah, which is related to the religious aspect of the Qibla, and it is considered as the holiest place in Islam, thanks to this orientation. Second, innovation in design. The mosque designers included several avant-garde elements that were not common in previous Islamic buildings. For example, the wide and open courtyard contrasts with the traditional walled square courtyard of all mosques. Large congregations may need to be accommodated with this innovation, especially on major Islamic days. Third, symbolism of the Malawiyah minaret. The famous spiral tower Malawiyah has inspired many different adaptations. According to one idea, it symbolizes ascension to heaven and reflects a spiritual quest made possible by prayer. Fourth, serving the community. Mosques are more than just locations for prayer. According to historical accounts, the mosque courtyard may have had a fountain that served as a vital supply of water for the neighborhood. Additionally, stores close to the mosque entrance could be to accommodate pilgrims' needs. Even though the Great Mosque of Samarra is no longer in complete operations, its layouts and characteristics provide insight into the Abbasid Caliph intention to build luxurious religious complexes that function as significant social hubs for the Muslim population in addition to being places of prayer. Also, the Great Mosque of Samarra was built as a congregational or also Friday prayer mosque, a mosque designed to hold all of the city's male residents during Friday prayers. It replaced an earlier, smaller congregational mosque. It was also built as an expression of the growing cultural and economic importance of Samarra and the Abbasid Caliphate.
The Abbasid Caliphate's rich cultural legacy can be seen by the majestic Great Mosque of Samarra. Mosque is an iconic representation of Islamic civilization, rich in diversity and rich in history as a symbol of Abbasid power, culture, values, and norms. The Great Mosque of Samarra, a well-known representation of Islamic civilization, reflects the norms and cultural values that have influenced Muslim society for many years. These include the values of equality and togetherness, which are demonstrated by the mosque's large courtyard and elegant design, which invite worshippers from all walks of life to join together in community and prayer. The mosque also represents the cultural norm of respect for places of worship, as seen by the careful attention to detail in architecture and the strange feeling that surrounds its hall. In addition, the mosque's historical significance as an important center of learning and spirituality reflects the value of faith and knowledge in Islamic culture, inspiring those seeking truth to come together and discuss life mysteries. Basically, the Great Mosque of Samarra is a living example of Islamic culture's timeless standards and values. Language. Arabic writing reveals calligraphy that permeates the Great Mosque of Samarra, an outstanding example of Islamic architecture, integrating cultural language practices through spoken word. Arabic is the primary language used within its wall for religious instruction, sermon delivery, and prayer recitation. These create a strong bond with the language history of Islam. In addition, the mosque calligraphic decoration, which include passages from the Quran and poetic declaration of devotion to Allah, provide outstanding example of the beauty and strength of Arabic writing and captivate both worshippers and outsiders with their deep spiritual meaning. The Great Mosque of Samarra protects and honors the rich linguistic heritage that is at the very heart of Islamic culture, in addition to conveying religious doctrine and spiritual guidance via spoken and written word. Symbols. Cultural emblems that have both spiritual and historical significance can be found in the Great Mosque of Samarra. One of these symbols is the towering Malwiya Tower Minaret, which symbolizes the ascent of believer towards heavenly knowledge and has an unique spiritual rank. Furthermore, the mosque's large courtyard, which is decorated with beautifully carved column and arch, represent the community welcoming nature of Islamic worship by accepting individuals from all walks of life. In addition, the mosque carefully carved arabesque and geometric design on its wall and domes serve as visual symbol of the divine symmetry and order that influence Islamic art and architecture. All who witness the Great Mosque of Samarra are filled with awe and reverence as a result of these cultural symbols coming together to represent the rich legacy and profound spirituality of the Islamic faith.
About 129 kilometers from Baghdad, the capital of Iraq, lies a city named Samarra. It is named as one of the World Heritage Sites by United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. It contains around 300,000 people. But actually, the history of this city started during the Abbasid era in the 9th century. The crisis that caused the movement from Baghdad to a new place happened during the reign of Caliph al-Mu'tasim, the 8th Caliph of Abbasid Dynasty. Back then, the people of Baghdad had to face struggles imposed by the soldiers of government. These soldiers, originally of Turks origin, were allowed to ride horses around the city. They also have different cultures from the natives, which caused discomfort to the people. For example, according to Al-Yaqubi, when those Persian Turks were riding on their horses, they would run, striking people right and left, and killing some and beating others. Thus, the Caliph then moved out of Baghdad and searched for a new settlement for him and his soldiers. After that, a place near to Tigris river banks became a new place that he founded and soon became the new capital of the Abbasid. A lot of things were built, including the mosque, and this is what is now known as the Great Mosque of Samarra. However, this mosque actually became great during his successor, Ja'far al-Mutawakkil Ali ibn al-Mu'tasim, the 9th Caliph, because at this time the mosque was completed and enlarged by him. The mosque was the main focus for Muslims for prayers and other activities. However, in this time, the practice of the caliph becoming the imam for congregational prayers was not practiced frequently. Sometimes, this task will be delegated to his staff. After a few years, the capital was relocated back to Baghdad. However, this mosque remained for 400 years until it was destroyed during the invasion of Iraq by the Mongols.